Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Bakar to preview Gameweek 35. Bakar, the season is almost over, only a few game weeks left. You played your free hit last week, as did I, as did a lot of managers out there, and you did very well, 91 points. So before we talk about Gameweek 35, we'll talk about last week first. Although it is worth saying we're recording this on Wednesday lunchtime, so the Brentford Forest game hasn't happened yet. Or is it Forest Brentford? Sorry, isn't it? Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, a good week so far for you.
Yeah, hello, Jack. Hello and welcome to all listeners and viewers. It's been a great week. I think that the free hit trip has been a resounding success. I mean, you look at all the options that were popular on the free hit, the likes of, let's say, Trippier, Cunha, Sessegnon, Jose Sa, Sanchez, Luis Diaz. I mean, all these guys got sizable scores, and it was that sort of week which I think was make or break for a lot of people who were on the free hit, and it's safe to say that the free hit has paid off handsomely. But then again, on the other side of the spectrum, if you weren't on a free hit, then this week, I assume would have been a big letdown. And in some cases, I've seen some teams where good teams have ended up with 40, 45 points, even lower. And unfortunately for them, it's happened so late in the season that it's kind of like a season ender. As much as I hate to use that term, but
Wow.
yeah, the swing has been brutal for a lot of people this week.
Yeah, that's very fair. Well, I've got your team up on screen. And again, this is before the Forest game, but still very strong. 91 points. I mean, that is an excellent score. I think I asked you last week if you'd be happy with around 66, 67, which is what your team was predicted. And you said, yeah. But ultimately, I mean, depends on what happens. But pretty crazy week where like you legitimately could have had a defense, including a goalkeeper, that got over 40 points. I mean, you were close to that. How many points did your defense get? I mean, you got 41 points from your back four. That's absolutely ridiculous. Some people got more than that.
Exactly. I mean, had I had, let's say, Sao or Sanchez, I would have had three more points, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been even better. But then again, I mean, overall, I'm sort of happy with how things have been going. Not just this week, actually, in over the past 10 weeks, which obviously included the time I wildcard as well. I've gotten 10 green arrows consecutively, and I'm sort of happy that I've hit form at the right end of the season, and now I'm hoping I can sort of make further inroads in the remaining weeks to come.
You did this last year and you eventually caught me up. It was close, but you did. And
I
I'm
can't
a bit
catch you this
concerned.
year,
I'm a bit
man. I'm not even.
concerned.
Nah,
Hey,
I
you're only
can't catch
30k
you this
behind
year.
now. I'm looking over my shoulder.
It's more like 25 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly,
And
it's
I don't think
nothing.
it will happen. It's not going to happen without doubles. It's going to be tricky to chase down because our teams are fairly similar.
Let's talk about fixtures now, because that was one of the main things that I wanted to touch on in this episode, because we've been waiting for those FA Cup fixtures, those matches to happen, and now they've happened. So we know that it's going to be Crystal Palace and Man City in the final of the FA Cup. However, and I've got every single fixture from Ben Crellin for every team this entire season in Europe, whatever, domestically, on the screen right now. We don't yet know what's going to happen with those rearranged games. So can you just give us a brief overview of what we know right now?
Yeah, so the fact that Palace defeated Villa in the cup now lessens the need of a double game week to happen in game week 36. Firstly, there's that. Had Villa won, then it would have increased the chance of a double game week 36 happening. I mean, it could still happen in 36 for teams like, let's say, Palace um, and City. But currently, with the information available, the assumption that we probably need to take is that no doubles will happen for the rest of the season. Now, what ramifications that has on the FPL side of things is that it kind of lessens the appeal of anyone who has the chips available. For example, if you still have the system manager chip or the free hit chip, obviously without if the doubles don't fall as we expect, then without doubles, obviously that sort of lessens the strength of the remaining chips. Firstly, there's that. But then again, I think what we need to, the main sort of take away from that this week is that we probably wait as long as possible before making our transfers because there's a good chance that on Friday we hear from the Premier League regarding the rescheduling of the fixtures. And if there is a double game week or we will get further information close to the deadline. So there's no need to make any transfers early. I don't think team value is that critical at this stage of the season anyway. So even if, let's say, a player you want to buy is going up, or if a player you want to sell is going down, I just don't think that's relevant at this stage of the season.
How likely do you think it is that we will get information before the Gameweek 35 deadline? Because that was the thing that I guess people have been saying. People like Ben Krellin, knowledgeable people that look ahead to these sort of things, thought that it was pretty likely. I don't think I'm misquoting here, but they thought it was pretty likely that we would get the information about the potential rearranged fixtures by the Gameweek 35 deadline. Do you think that's still likely to happen?
Yes, it's more likely than not, I would think.
Okay. But nonetheless, it's still worth
Yes.
holding transfers anyway, just in case. Even if it doesn't happen, there's no need to rush a transfer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit of a confusing chart on screen. Obviously, 33 and 34 have happened, but yeah, we're currently on that sort of SF1 column. Arsenal have played last night, and then got that Bournemouth game, then PSG, and then yeah, it's in 36 where it's a lovely pink color, I will say, but possible double game week 15 to 45%, not that high, and likely double game week now. I think that's probably come down a bit as well. This was made a couple of weeks ago, and this is sort of the most updated chart that we have. So with that all in mind, mate, I think let's just talk about your team and what you're thinking for this week and upcoming weeks. You've just said there in terms of waiting for transfers. Are you going to do that?
I will wait for transfers, but I think my transfer, irrespective of what we hear, is fairly straightforward this week. And I'm actually glad, because in recent weeks, there have been some big decisions to make. This week seems to be more stress-free in terms of decision making. And I think because my decision is fairly clear, at least in my head, that I don't exactly have to, let's say, dwell over my transfers. Like, for example, previously on the free hit, I was dwelling over each one of my picks, debating, which players were better, comparing them to each other. I don't think that it is going to be that way this week. And it's actually nice, because especially because it's a Friday deadline, won't probably have too much time to think about it. It's nice that I sort of know my move, and it's going to be Saka and Bomo, I think, um, irrespective of how the schedule falls, to be very honest, because I'll explain why. Firstly, you mentioned that Arsenal, they lost to PSG last night. I think because they don't have anything to play for in the league, there's a very good chance that Saka gets rested, especially considering the PSG fixtures next week. Because it's a Friday deadline, it's very unlikely that there's any team leaks regarding Saka, and all we have to sort of go on is our subjective assessment of his X minutes. And currently, the way I'm thinking is that if he's not likely to start, I don't think he justifies his price tag in the team. I know I got him in game week 33 for the double game week. So it does exactly feel ideal having bought him in game week 33, then use the free hit in 34 to sell him straight away. But I think that's like sunk cost for policy. I think I need to look at it from that point of view, because when you look at Saka's fixtures, if he's not starting this week, next week Arsenal playing Liverpool away, do I really want him in my team, especially for a guy at that price? I don't think so. So what I'll do is I'm going to buy Mbomo for a couple of reasons. I mean, he's been a big favorite of mine this season. I mean, he's scored so many points for me this season. He's been an absolute hero. But irrespective of that, the next four fixtures for Mbomo are really nice. Man United at home, then Ipswich away, Fulham at home, and then Wolves away. That's a really strong end to the season for Mbomo. And I want to have at least one piece of the Brentford attacking pie. And I think Mbomo, being the talisman, is the one to go for if I'm picking one. I also think that he's going to be my captain this week. That's another big reason to go for him, because I'm looking at him as my captain. And if I look at him as my best captain, then obviously it adds more weight to my reasoning behind the transfer. And not just that, let's say, if at any point I want, let's say, future funds for someone like a Haaland, which I doubt I will, but still it's something which in the back of my head, if I want funds for someone like that, then Saka Mbomo does open up plenty of avenues. The only sort of thing that is sort of putting me off this move is the fact that Arsenal playing Newcastle at home in 37 and Southampton in 38. So Saka is someone I might want back in 37, 38.
Ooh.
But I think at this point in time, I'll just go ahead with what is in front of me, take the points on offer, and then reassess in 37, depending on how the schedule falls, depending on how the form of different players. So if Palmer is an option at that point, if he's shown any kind of form, I might go to Palmer. Chelsea are playing Man United at home in 37. That's a good fixture as well. So, I mean, these are the sort of things that I'm debating, but I think I'll probably make a informed decision closer to 37 and decide about Saka then, and just keep Mbomo for the next four and enjoy the points of the run in.
Yeah, it seems to be a very popular move this week. And I get what you're saying. It's a bit weird given that everyone got Saka in pretty recently. He didn't do very well. Now we're selling him. But it makes a lot of sense. I mean, how many minutes do you think he's going to get against Bournemouth? Because obviously they lost 1-0.
I don't think he starts, personally.
There is no point in him starting, is there, really? And you mentioned the Newcastle game as well. Even if Arsenal do lose against PSG, which obviously now they are, I guess PSG are big favourites now to go through in that tie. There's still there's nothing on that game for Arsenal, really. I mean, yeah, they want to secure second, but Newcastle are going to be giving everything for that game. Arsenal, they've just,
Yeah.
I don't know, we're getting towards sort of beach season a little bit. I know Arsenal want to secure second, and that's tougher now after that Palace draw. But I don't know. I'm still not 100% sure you need to get him back for that game. And so, yeah, what do you have his minutes like this week? Like 30 then, maybe 20, 30?
I think 40, because even if he does start, I mean, even if he does start, he's going to get taken off 60, 65 minute mark, which is why I feel more confident in selling him. Because
Yeah.
I'm getting A, the optimal captain this week, and B, I'm getting someone who's going to play 90 minutes. Then again, I also want to mention that why I think he's the optimal captain
Yeah.
is that generally, I mean, if you are following me from a period of time, you must have noticed that I tend to go for midfielders over forwards if I'm looking at, captaincy. I'm not exactly considering Salah as a realistic alternative this week because Chelsea at home has proven to be a stingy defense. They're not exactly conceding too many goals at home. If you look at their recent underlying data, their defense is pretty strong. So I think this is a week where I can take on Salah's effective ownership with relative, let's say, I mean, it's never easy taking on Salah, but let's say relatively low risk.
They have just won the league as well. I think that's a big factor that they've just won the league. I'm not saying that Salah's like a crazy party guy. He's not. But that's going to have an effect on the club, and surely they're going to be more relaxed, I would imagine. Maybe that'll make them better, but it's going to be different. It's not like this is the game to win the league.
Let's say if I didn't get Mboma, I think I'd go with Marmoush. I think that's the standout fixture in terms of predictability this week. I think City will win against Wolves. And Marmoush will probably get himself one goal. I'm not exactly looking at him as someone who's very, very explosive. We haven't exactly
No.
seen that kind of explosive haul potential in him. He's probably going to get close to, let's say, 8, 9 points, probably get a goal, share of the bonus, and that's about it. And I think I'm happy to take that on with Mbomo. Now, the reason being, 90-minute man, classified as a midfielder, probably going to play up front. And the biggest factor is that United are going to play the kids because United are playing on Thursday. And then this is again a Sunday fixture, and they're going to play again next week. So they have no very similar logic, like you mentioned for Arsenal. They have no reason to play a strong team, and it's not as if United have a good defense anyway, even with their first 11 playing. So yeah, this has to be a very nice spot for Brentford, and I think it's one worth targeting.
I think this is a week like this is where, we have the data here, the predicted points, and I've got on Fantasy Football Hub, Salah's at 7 predicted points, and Burmo's down at 5.6. But that's just looking at it from a purely data perspective and not the context of United are not going to be playing their first team, Liverpool have just won the league, etc.,
Exactly.
etc. All this stuff. So I think this is one of the main weeks in the season where you have to use sort of the human side rather than the expected points data side.
Exactly. I use the term subjective assessment, and a lot of it comes down to that, right? Of subjective assessment of Arsenal's minutes, United minutes, uh, their priorities, etc., etc. And you mentioned the predicted points of the algorithm. I would like to counter question. Are you captaining Mboma yourself as well this week? I mean, are you leaning towards it?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards him for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So if I ask you, and if I tell you that this is game week 1 of the season, with every team focusing on the league, would you still go ahead with Mboma, or would you
No,
rather
of course not.
resort to Salah?
Yeah, it'd be Salah.
See, right?
it would
Exactly.
easily be
So
Salah. Yeah,
that's exactly the difference between what the algorithm is saying and what we're sort of leaning towards on the human side,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. I want to see what the algorithm recommends for you in terms of your recommended transfers, though, because
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it might say this. Okay, so it's recommended to save this week. Have you considered saving at all and just playing Saka anyway and thinking, even if he gets,
Yes.
he may
It's
well
a good
start,
question.
might get 45 minutes, it's still a good fixture. Then you said you've got like, it's Liverpool, but then you've got those two games. Newcastle at home could be good. And then Southampton away, final day is plum.
Yes, I was going to come to this. It's something which I hadn't given any thought to until today, when news came out that Evan Nilsson's red card has been rescinded
Yeah.
and that he's available to play. Now that is a fixture where I'm looking at, Arsenal resting some of their key players, and Bournemouth will very likely score, I feel, and if they do, there's a good chance that Evan Nilsson is involved. So I could save with the transfer, but even if I do, I won't play Saka. I will play Evan Nilsson over him,
Okay.
right? So that's why that thought has crossed my mind, because I don't really want to play Saka this weekend. I'm considering it, but then again, it's not just Mbomo for 1 week, or it's just not that I look at him as the best captain. It's just what is to follow after this week as well. And I just don't think it's worth taking on. When you look at him playing Ipswich or Fulham at home or Wolves, I mean, I just can't take that on personally,
Yeah,
because
I
it's one
agree.
good fixture after the other. It's
Yeah.
one good fixture after the other.
He's the player that you get in now, and you're going to have to get him at some point anyway, unless you are committing that you're going to swerve him for the rest of the season. I think this is the entry point. I think the main point being, like, unless you're really happy to captain Marmoush or Salah, I think Mbomo is a really good alternative. I think he'll be quite highly captained, to be honest, amongst sort of engaged managers like you guys watching this video right now. Obviously, across the whole of FPL, there won't be too many Mbomo captainers, but I would not be surprised if in the sort of top 10k, top 100k, he is a pretty decent percentage that we're like, oh, I didn't expect it to be that much. But yeah, it's one of those where it definitely is a good fixture. Evan Nilsson back though. I mean, that is good. Yeah, I probably wouldn't play him. I'd probably still go in Burmo if I had your team, but it's strong nonetheless. Apart from that, anything else to really talk about in your team? You've got the double Arsenal defense. Is that a slight worry? Are you potentially going to play Konza
Yes.
there? Because that's what a lot of people have. They might have someone like a Konza on the bench and 2 out of 3 of Kivior, Saliba, Raya.
I think it's an interesting question. I was in fact looking at the clean sheet odds before I came live in the show. Arsenal have a clean sheet odds percentage of just 30%. That is a very low probability,
That is low.
especially when Arsenal are playing at home. I
Yeah.
mean, when Arsenal are playing at home, 30% is very, very low. It's basically the bookmakers preempting that they will play the kids. Even if they're playing the kids, 30% is still too low, I feel, for a team like Arsenal, right? But
Yeah.
just to put it into context, four teams have a better clean sheet probability. Everton are first, second are Man City, third are Brentford, and fourth are Aston Villa. So all these teams have better clean sheet probabilities than Arsenal. You were mentioning about Konza. Aston Villa have a 32% clean sheet probability. Arsenal are 30%.
Ooh.
Now that's tricky. That's very tricky. Crystal Palace are 29%. So I mean, someone like a Henderson versus Martinez in my team is another dilemma that I'm sort of trying to address. And similarly, maybe Kivior. I do think Kivior and Saliba start, simply because I just don't think Arsenal have the depth to rest them. I mean, who would they even play as a centre backs? I'm not sure. I mean, I think they would probably start both of them. And the thing is that in isolation, while I do look at Cons and Martinez as being better options than, let's say, KVR and Henderson, because the market odds generally, when I'm in concerned about a 50-50 decision, I tend to go with the bookmaker probabilities. But doubling up also seems to be a bit of a risky strategy, because it's
Oh.
not as if Aston Villa have a very watertight defense either. So it is that one of those weeks where, damned if I do, damned if I don't. It's that kind of week. But in isolation, double Aston Villa defense is making a lot of sense in my team.
Do you think you're going to at least play one Villa defender? I feel like if I were you, I'd be tempted to play Martinez and then keep the Arsenal double up. I think you've got to have one, but I'm not sure about two doubling up on Villa. I don't know. It's tough.
Right? It's a tricky
Yeah.
question. Exactly.
Also, I don't think Kivior is like a really easy bench now either, because obviously he scored in that last game. that last Premier League
I don't
game.
think that matters.
I don't
I don't
know.
think that
He was the
matters.
target from that set. He was the target from that set piece. It was a great header. Saliba is not very. Like, so how many goals has Saliba scored this season? One, maybe in the league.
Konza scored very recently against Paris Saint-Germain as well. So I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying.
there
Bench
were
Saliba. Get Konza in there.
Saliba scored like I think Saliba scored 3 goals this season. All 3 times he's been in my FPL team. I mean,
Has
I
he?
owe him
Oh
for
my
that.
god. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
yes,
Fair enough.
yeah,
Again, though,
he
like
scored 3 times, I think.
fair enough. Again, though, like it comes down to Villa against Fulham and how you assess that game, because that is a massive game again for both of those teams. If Villa don't win that game, they are 100% not in the Champions League next season. Well, pretty much 100%, all but. If Fulham don't win that game, then it's tough. Like that eighth spot is very, very competitive. Now, depending on what happens with Brentford as well, they may well be in that race. If they can find something against Nottingham Forest tomorrow night, then they are in that race for that eighth spot with those 4 fixtures coming up as well. So it's not one where you think Villa are playing against a team that have nothing to play for. Fulham are going to be right on it. Similarly, Bournemouth are in that conversation for eighth as well. They're just 1 point behind Fulham, so they're going to be going for it as well. I don't know. It's about like I suppose it's about how you feel about the games, and it's not really risk appetite, because is doubling up really a risk, or do you just think they're better players? So it's not like everyone's going to have at least one Arsenal defender anyway, so you're not really gaining anything by having one. I don't know. It's up to you, I suppose. What are you thinking right now then? If I had to ask you right now, out of those 5 players, your 2 keepers and those 3 defenders, who are you going to start?
I think I would probably go for Konza over Kivior, I think, and maybe Martinez over Henderson. But I think
Oh,
I'm more
okay.
confident in Konza over Kivior as opposed to uh, Martinez over Henderson. That's the way I'm thinking of it.
Interesting. I'm interested to see what you end up going for. It feels like one of those that whatever you do will probably be the wrong decision, and someone will get 15 points, someone will get 2. So
Yeah,
just the way it is.
exactly. My luck has to sort of run out at some point, and I feel as if this decision is exactly where it goes wrong, because I can see myself being in a very sort of tricky spot to decide.
Okay. Any other discussions for your team this week? And if not, any other wider discussions?
Not for my team. I think my team is fairly locked in terms of
Looks
transfers.
strong, by the way. Very
I
strong.
just want to touch a bit on a couple of other talking points. Firstly, it's a lot of people had Joao Pedro in their teams a couple of weeks ago, and he got suspended, and then they used the free hit chip this week. So I want to talk a bit on the Joao Pedro replacements. I think effectively there are 2 options that you can go for, because a lot of people will be selling Saka and getting Mbomo. Funds exactly won't be a problem. So they can go for someone like Watkins with Rashford injured. I think that's a decent option. But I think a more realistic and probably a more, let's say, a practical alternative would be to pick Wissa, who's more or less at a similar price range. And for very similar reasons to Mbomo, I feel very strongly about Wissa as well. I think it's a fantastic pick. And if you want Joao Pedro, you should sell for Wissa. It's an absolute no-brainer. The second thing I want to touch upon is for people who are using the assistant manager chip this week. So some people
Yeah.
still have that chip left. And I do think that this week is the best week to use it, as opposed to using it next week. Now, I say that because when you look at the fixtures in Game Week 38, the only realistic fixture that I look at, which might be eligible for table bonus, is Spurs versus Brighton. And even that is a fixture where if Spurs hypothetically make the final in Europa, then that's a fixture which Spurs are basically going to throw away. So I just don't think it's worth risking the system manager chip till Gaming 38, because that chip is so powerful. You need to use it in the best weeks possible. And I think the best windows from Gaming 35 to 37. Now, the next question would be that who's the best assistant manager to go for this week? I think there are 2. I like Glasner, but I assume a lot of people have tripled up on Palace already because of their, doubles in recent times. So I would keep an eye out on the result for Brentford Nottingham Forest. If Brentford win or draw even, sorry, if Forest win or draw even against Brentford, then Maresca becomes eligible for table bonus this week against Liverpool. And I think because of what Jack said earlier, Liverpool might be in party mode. They might take the foot off the pedal, etc. I think this might be a good spot for Maresca as well at home to Liverpool. I don't mind it at all.
Interesting. Yeah, this feels like quite a fun week. You could go anywhere really. I like the. I would have said that I like the Glasner pick, but then I'm not sure because obviously Palace now are in the final and Forest are fully focused now on getting that Champions League spot. So I probably don't like that pick anymore.
I don't think it's a realistic option for a lot of people
That's
anyway.
true. Everyone's tripled up. Well, a lot of people are tripled up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guardiola looks pretty good, don't you think? I mean, Guardiola, you get him this week, then next week you've got Bournemouth at home, Southampton away. Just leave it, and then
Guardiola's fine, but
potentially if they double, sorry.
the thing with the system manager chip is that I assume a lot of people who still have the chip available wanted to use it in the doubles, and because they wanted to use it in the doubles to target upside.
Yeah.
And while Pep offers a safe solution, it's not exactly the upside that people are looking for, which is why I suggested Maresca this week.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if there aren't going to be any doubles, and some people have played assistant manager when they had 5 games, so it's like if you're down at 3 games compared to 5, you might feel like, oh, this I kind of need to, try and chase some points to get up to that sort of 40-point mark that other FPL managers were getting over the course of this season. But yeah, tough spot.
I think that's pretty much about it. I don't think there's anything else left to discuss. We pretty much touched on all the major talking points this week.
Good stuff, as always. Thank you very much for your tips and advice. Guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here and you've watched all of this. Comment down below what you're doing with your team. And remember, if you still haven't, there's still time. If you want to see your recommended transfers, have a look at the points predictions for every single player. Sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, top line of the description.